all your stuff in like 2 days. So, it's probably a little easier for me to do this. I can animate anything live, but is there anything that I have made in the past like 10 years that you'd want to see behind the scenes on? I like Remembrance, Alishai, Jelly. What do you got?
No.
Describe it. That one's corrupted.
Oh!
I can try opening it, but
let's see how corrupted it is.
Well, SFM is great for animating, but it's also great for crashing. So it doesn't like existence.
Yeah, the best way I've been described SFM is basically held down by duct tape.
It's running on 32-bit.
Yeah.
So it tells you how much RAM you have, and if you pass that, it just crashes. Yeah, let's see. I might have an older version of it, but usually when I go to open this up, there is a way to recover it. I'm just lazy. Let's see here. Well, for one, this is not looking correct. And all I hear is music. Yeah, the music's here. But that's not right.
Yes.
Well, at least we got that part. You can just imagine the rest in their head.
Let me see. Day, night. I don't even. Do you know how old this is? This is 2014. Maybe. Let's try one and see what pops up. Because if it crashes, then we found the right one. I probably don't have the right map, but I can just load in a basic one. Okay, the other thing, it doesn't like to use backspace sometimes. Let's just grab that one. At least be able to see it. But yeah, there's a certain part of this that is corrupted. Oh yeah, this is like right on the moon. The spikes doing. I don't know what acid trip I was on when I made this, but there's really not too much that for behind the scenes. This is just literally just giant horse legs. This doesn't have the end part. Oh, that's why these are numbered. Okay, the fourth one never happened. I want to switch to one of the end ones because when they're on like the ship and stuff. That day and night. I think that's we're on a mountain. We'll try this one until it crashes, because then you know you're done for the day. Yep, look at that.
Ooh, fantastic.
Look at that one.
Error.
Just remember it. Classic error.
This is way better than the original. No, I know exactly what's happening here. I turned off Pirates, Vikings, and Kings, which is an add-on, and that's where the ship came from. But it's instead you have. Wait a second. Wait a second. He was supposed to have me on a parrot, and the parrot wasn't here, so you can't see the parrots. Now you just get.
You know the worst part about this? That's industry standard. You see that in animated movies all the well, you don't see that, but behind the scenes it looks like that all the time in animated movies.
The reason it's a tiny body is because in SFM, if you scale something to 0, it has difficulty figuring out up, down, left, and right. Because if it doesn't have volume, it doesn't know. It's all infinity. So the moment you scale to 0, suddenly you have no motion control for it. So instead, I'll just scale really far down and make it really tiny, and then it'll at least keep working. But that's a pretty common thing. And I'm good that Twilight's ready and to take him out. So, yeah, this might not be the best example of one to show the proficiencies of hoarseness.
The proficiency of hoarseness.
This whole video I made, like, if everybody's seen the original, like, the Celestia being deep? Really? Because this is what this is based on. But the subtitles I made a year afterwards, I believe. So I don't have the subtitles in SFM, but those were a fever dream. No, let me see if I can open up a different one. Is there a different video? I have almost everything. on here. I haven't done an update in a couple years on here. I used to just do a sync. But like, the Great Hippo War, that was great. Let me see here. The best one in terms of behind the scenes is Remembrance has a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure people know that video. Trixie gets a raise. Anybody know that one?
Yes.
You
ate all the butter.
Why is it one called Derpy Explodes? Okay. This had to be split. We do a lot of really stupid stuff on stream, and I have to make separate save files because it starts crashing my program. Let's do the montage. This was a funny video that was a follow-up to, was it an AI-driven one I did? Like it wasn't even AI, it was Twitch directs, where Twitch was telling me what each shot should do and what should happen. And so everybody at the end of it said Trixie should have a raise. And so there was supposed to be a montage of her doing things that were definitely not doable in 13 minutes. And it was supposed to get more and more ridiculous. So like her breaking through the window. Let me move the camera back here. This is like actually, I think this might be the funnier angle for this. Just breaking through the window. The kitchen was on fire. Oh, that was.
Stubby legs.
That's my OC too. Bit a customer. Gave alcohol to minors. This one was on a different map, but I don't know what it was. So we're gonna have to just leave that. Oh wait, actually no, I listed it here. This one was Long Road. I don't know. Yeah, I have.
We're alive!
If you open up the new model screen, you save. If you open up the audio screen, you save. If you do anything, you save.
So I assume you always have your hand like that?
I have to go and double check if the autosave or me is quicker on the save because I don't remember doing it. It has become such muscle memory that I will go, oh, I literally saved 15 seconds ago and I didn't remember. There's the little trick too, the little star up at the top bar.
Oh.
Up in the top, if you see the star, you're not saved.
My external drive is refusing to collaborate with me. While you're trying to find a map, I guess I can switch to...
Yeah, you can go right ahead.
Am I sharing my screen or am I duplicating my screen? Oh, duplicating my screen.
It's fine.
Duplicate. There we go. So, I mostly do stuff that's in 2D that tries to work in 3D. So, you go with something where you can turn it a bit around, the pieces work well. And I like how it does a little spin. It's a thing called an ortholock.
What's on her face?
It's kind of her face.
It's like got an attachment.
Yeah.
What was that?
It just goes.
Hey, that's really cool.
Oh, is there...
Whoop.
Wait, what is that?
Just, it's one of the problems with the ortholock. Those
It's a Super Smash Brothers logo.
Kind of, yeah. You know how in old Super Smash Bros. 64 and
yes.
Remember how all the items were just billboarded sprites?
Yes.
So they call it ortholock in Toon Boom, and one of the problems with ortholock is sometimes you have a piece that just does a spin like that, just because it doesn't know what to do. Toon Boom is a crazy software. You're gonna have, for example, the eye control that work relatively well when you don't. So you have the head control. That also kind of breaks. So one of the things I usually do when it kind of goes like that is that I have a separate controller. Let's see if I can get it like that. So you have to turn it like this, and then find which controller is set for that. It should be this one. And then you can set it to 1. Wait, was it 1 or 0? 0. Like that, and then it appears back as the main, and then you go there, take this, spin it around a bit, And then you have to fight because you have this piece here, disable. You have this weird piece here, disable.
Well, you have that interesting bit where you're playing within 3D, but you're using 2D. So, like, churning and changing requires more than just, like, swap the camera around and you're done. You have to do, oh, now I'm in this angle, so I have to do this, 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 and this to clean it up.
Basically.
You have to love my life.
And then you have the controller where you have everything that follows.
Oh. I didn't know they could do that.
Is
that how they get the grass? There we go.
Nom, 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 nom.
She kissed. That's smooching herself.
There's also this piece here that controls the body.
Oh, they're flexible.
And at first, I didn't think of doing it that way before because the whole idea is that the leg is connected to this. You have the image switch. So the whole idea is that, for example, if you want different kinds of legs, for example, if it's bent, and then it just follows the rest of the body. Sometimes because I forget. If you want the body to switch to a different angle, you have this kind of image switch. And usually that kind of image switch works too. And the rest of the body follows like that. And at first I was thinking that's a very good way, for example, if you have a character just like that, the body follows. But then I realized I can make them dance. The back leg is not working too well for that because... Remember a couple of years ago, the long glimmer meme?
Yes.
I can't keep going.
That stopped? How does she poop now?
It takes a while to get there. Let's see. Can I have? Is my go back to yours while I'll try to.
I just opened up a different one here. I wanted to try. I wouldn't call it horror. I wanted to do something spooky, and so I made this one. It's called "It's Party Time," and we stream these a lot. And animating is hard, so we get bored. And when you get bored, you do weird shit. And so we, on a lot of these old files, like even just this one, there's just this thing down at the bottom of this map, like down here, that's just, it's just like a bear carrying derpy in his mouth. Chasing another derpy. But this one's okay with it. Every one of these shots, I think, has something. Oh my God, what is this one? I locked the running bear to the derpy. What is this? Oh, somebody was looking for like punk Fluttershy or something. So we had like this whole like punk shot as well. There, that's better. Just made that and then never did anything with it. But this one, I wanted to try doing something like kind of spoopy and trying to. It's a whole different like concept of like how do you do the lighting, how do you do the camera angles, probably not. It doesn't matter if there's really any audio here, but. And it was a really fun project to be able to, like, to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. But I can't just do fully serious. Oh my God, this alone, having to make it so that I just literally did a cycle of animation, grabbed her butt and just shifted it back and forth, and every time she touched a book, I just attached it to her hoof. But that actually took a while to actually make it so she was literally pulling books out. But then just like, sure, she has a gun. But I wanted to have this like scary bit where Pinky started coming up from behind, but any shadow I had didn't really work. So instead, this is literally just, it's just a 2D, like because this is what you mentioned we were doing the billboard. Yeah, I just did that, but then I just shined some really bright red lights in her eyes. Because I tried 3D, I tried like nothing looks spooky. Nothing is spookier than just Pinkie Pie. So I just did that.
Especially Hasbro Pinkie Pie.
Right, yeah, the stock Pinkie Pie they used on everything.
This also took a while too because locking things can be interesting in SFM because it probably works better in Blender and stuff, but everything has a parent. So you have like your root that's kind of like the one that's locked to the ground, but then you have your butt bone's connected to your spine bone, and it goes all the way out in like a pattern from that. But it gets more difficult if like say a character's holding on to a post, and now they are rotating from that post. Well, the parent bone's back here, but now you're basing all your rotations from here, and it gets interesting of like. I have to take another bone, like it's a multi-layered, it's a tentacle bone, which is kind of weird when you shove that in the pony, but it's multiple layers, and then I have to like say, okay, this part of the tentacle is locked to this bone in reverse order from the head. So then I can rotate that bone, and it rotates the whole body with it, but it still makes it really difficult. And that kind of was the issue here with the tail is now this is where it's locked, but the tail's base is down here, and so it's trying to like I had to go there and do so many corrections to try to make it fix as she was going through and being dragged in a very polite manner through the door of friendship. It's okay. It was for a party. She just it's just in the video. Well, yeah, it was just for fun. But yeah, this scene was just so difficult because trying to get that to work, not moving the camera too much, making it look like she's not just doing the same cycle. It's all repeated. I think half this video was just spent in this shot, and it's just big empty hallway. I don't know. Is there any funny ones in this one?
Are you doing the Hanna-Barbera thing where the hallway just loops back?
Oh yes, there were kind of. It's actually one long hallway. I didn't really need to worry about it. There's weird stuff in here. What is going on? Okay, I'm not sure. Oh, Paw Patrol. There we go. It's rough. I have no idea what's going on here. But I thought there was this is the one she has her ball and she's trying to get her ball. She's like, I want my ball, give me my ball. Way too much fun. Anyway, you can jump back over if you want to grab.
Well, my hard drive is refusing to work.
Really?
I'm confused.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Is there any other videos you guys know that I made and you want of opened? Apple Dash? That one I am restarting for. There is. You can use 3D models and particles, and it can be really handy because you can cause like grass to kind of move really cool. The particles don't interact with light correctly, and in that video, I got to learn that lesson the hard way. Let's see if it'll actually open. Anything that's older than like 5 to 7 years is kind of a crapshoot. Let's see. You can get background music. This is really nice.
Yeah?
They're still setting up.
Okay, so this is, I believe, grassland. I think it's that map. This is long ago, so I'm not going to probably remember it correctly. If we don't have, I don't see, no, there's ground. No, so all of this grass you can see is like kind of moving like that. They're not actual models. They're models loaded in as a particle, and then you can tell the particle to sink to ground. So you put it above the ground, and all the particles sink until they hit the ground. Perfect for grass. But then lighting doesn't work on them. And so I had to do these in like weird patches to try to get that to work. I don't do it that way anymore. Now I just use grass models and just do the painstaking manual bit of it. But this was one where I tried to do that. See, the lighting's not working correct on this one. But yeah, you just want this because they're smooches. But also the performance. When the lights are on, this is the render time, and that's slow. That's very slow. So this video took a long time to render, even just like previewing. I don't think I have any weird stuff on this one. This one's pretty basic, but you can just see there's smooches. There you get your smooch. Oh, there's also Derpy rolling down a hill. Where is she? There she goes. But yeah, this was based on a picture from, I can't remember the artist at this point. They had a picture that looks almost like this. I don't know if anybody would know the artist, and I decided to make an animation from it. But their own little square patch in the middle of nowhere. Did you get your hard drive to work?
No, but I can remote into my home computer at home.
On hotel internet?
No, the 4G.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got like 20 gigs for the whole trip. So the only thing is that my computer at home is also not enjoying it. Give me a second.
There's not much missing. The one I did want to open was, I think Jay showed it.
Unless it started working because I scared my computer.
Your what?
Unless it started working because I scared my computer. But yeah, I think it just didn't like that I didn't eject the hard drive before the... Yeah, it doesn't like it.
It's getting there. The scary part is when you go to open SFM and it just crashes right away, and then you're like, oh. All right, I'll deal with this tomorrow. SFM does autosave every 10 minutes, but if you load an autosave, it erases the autosave, and then it's like, you're in your autosave. And then if it crashes in the first, 3 seconds before you save, autosave gone! I will go into my files and I will copy the autosave and rename it if I'm, don't want to lose anything. I love SFM. No, is the Alishai shoot to throw one? I want to see. I actually believe there is my keyframes from working on some of it from before I smoothed the animation on one of the more complex things. I want to see if it's still there because it shows the process. I also have no idea how I did this in one file. Everything I do nowadays, I have 5 files for everything. This map I'm probably not going to be able to find. So let's see. It is when she does the little spinny thing right here. Yes, I kept them all. I knew I was going to be in the future wanting this for reference. So this is just her doing this little thing with the gun and spin. And that is a more complex movement. So you can see her do a little thing. Woo. So, also catch hooves and guns. They don't really work well together. So here, if we hide her, and particles too. So this, I don't remember the order on some of these. So we're gonna see. Oh, there it is. Wrinkle time keyframe. Where are you? Where did you go, horse? It could be a visual thing. I just got to clear. Oh, I see why. Boom. Okay, so this will show. Let's just lip sync back up in the base. Okay, so this is the actual keyframes. So does anybody know what the term keyframe means? Essentially, yeah. What would you think it means?
It's essentially just a locked in position or every body part on the screen.
Yes, essentially.
Yeah.
Specific point in time.
Yep. There's kind of 2 ways you can look about it. What SFM and what I tend to do is called pose to pose, where it's exactly as the words say. You're doing keyframes, but you're moving from one pose to another. So it's like when you watch a 2D cartoon, you see them move to a different placement. And it's essentially all those poses are the important things. The things that you want to make sure that once a character gets there, they're staying there for a little bit and moving on. the more complex the movement, the more of those you might need. The more simpler, maybe it's like one pose over 10 seconds, and it's a lot easier. For this one, for like the one spin, you'll see I had to add a lot more as she goes around, because every movement of the leg is going to be important. So when she went and you had to go down, then she had to do a little bit of a spin, had to get down on one leg and show that one leg was lifting up, then pulling that leg out, then having it out there. It required a lot more of those little keyframes to make sure that it actually showed up right. And I think, put these next to each other. Oh, what happened to your arm? Oh, her suit doesn't work well, and so I had to hide her arm.
Oh no.
So
She's a changeling.
she missed arm day. So
And that's common in the industry to have it like that. They do it so often.
but yeah, you can see like all the different poses along the way. And then you had to do little in-betweens to try to smooth it out and doing the follow-through. But that keyframe was vital to ensure that everything looked great. Because if you don't do your keyframes right, your animation is going to look bad. I would say that the animation part is easy. Once you have your keyframes all done and the way you want it, the animating part is actually easy. It's the keyframing, making sure that everything's right. That pose looks right. That shot looks right. That's the hard part. Smoothing it out, actually pretty easy at that point. Did you get something working?
I got something working. Do you want to see some nightmare fuel?
Yes.
Let me introduce you to the concept of pre-roll.
I
So,
love that you say nightmare fuel, and then the first thing you see is just horses.
yeah, the nightmare hasn't started.
Yes.
So here's the thing. This is a scene with a lot of characters at once, and I didn't have lots of time to actually make rigs for all the characters. So I was thinking, I'm gonna make a main 6 character and just swap the mains if needed because they all have the same body type. The only thing is that I didn't account for how it's gonna go with the pre-roll. And the whole, I say pre-roll because one of the things, for example, all the default mouth poses, there's no place where I can really place them in the timeline except the first 100 frames. And I was thinking, like, I'm gonna start at frame 100, and afterwards the animation starts, and just ignore everything else.
I'll
Cause
pick music for this conversation too.
yeah. So just ignore the colors that flipped for some weird reason. Let's go to frame 1.
They're all Twilight.
They're all rarities, and part of it is because as a mistake I made, should be that was there. One of the mistakes I made is that I kept in the timeline the asset for the main, for rarity in the first frame, then Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash,
That one's actually terrifying.
and then the body parts, since I forgot to get rid of the keys, are slowly moving in as they have the default mouth poses. And then you just go
One
back.
of us. One of us.
And then they do that kind of move and action. It's like that for all of my shots. And I was thinking, okay, that's weird as an approach to do that until I realized in the animation industry it happens so much. It's even crazier with 3D models because the 3D models, if they bend in weirder ways, they look like nightmare fuel sometimes. Do you want to switch to something else while I try to find another shot as an example?
Sure. Actually, I was gonna show. No, not that one.
I guess while you wait, I guess I can show what happens if you flip because one of the things is you're gonna animate things in for the frame that's in 2D. Sometimes you might have movies in stereoscopic where you have to worry a bit about the depth, but with most productions you don't have to. So what happens if you for example, you have this. Actually, let me first show you what the shot looks like without the weirdness. You just have Minty that just jumps in. It looks a bit weird because the other half is hidden. It looks also weird because of the shadows that they added, but it looks pretty straightforward. So let's spin the camera around. Yeah. And you're thinking like, yeah, that's why whenever I cover animation, I don't use this little view here for the perspective, because with the perspective view you can actually see the whole scene in. It's also very laggy, but basically all the layers are set. It's very convenient that I don't show that. It's also pretty cool because since it's set in 3D space, you can actually have floor reflection. So if I actually wanted some floor reflection, I could use this. And then you look at the reflection where the perspective is a bit warped. And kind of looks a bit like this in terms of reflection. Sometimes the head explodes, and the way that I make sure that nobody notices that the head is exploding is that they have kind of blurry reflections for the floor. Think of shiny marble, but not too shiny. So just having access to that really helps. What else? Oh yeah, I guess I can go back and.
Long horse.
Let's open recent. Let's open it again. The way I found out how you can actually do shadows for this, because Toon Boom doesn't really have a way to do that kind of shadow that drop on the floor. And it's pretty weird. You have a composition here where you actually, let's do it backwards. Why am I clumsy today? So you spin the rig like this. You skew that whole thing across that the x-axis. You spin it again, and then you change the center of the scene. For some reason, it allows you to skew things, but not on the z-axis. So you need to spin it. Skew it, squash into the ground, and then you have everything else. But one of the other things with that, for example, with that shadow, is that you can change the skew. Let's change the skew to something a bit better. But it's not meant to be pure black. I made it make it pure black for a very simple reason. It's kind of. And then you have the floor reflection, and sometimes the floor reflection, you get a nice angle of everything. You just angle it a bit like this. Works well. And then you have the face that just looks so ridiculous.
Yeah, but there's no such thing as a perfect reflection. So yeah, anytime you do that, the surface will be manipulated in some way.
Yeah, but can you imagine if the reflection looks goofy? Because, for example, if I spin it properly, and then you look at the face.
That's fine. She went on a diet.
And sometimes you're gonna have the that kind of high angle where you're gonna spin the camera to have a character look a bit up. And then you look at a reflection that just looks like this.
See, you give SFM a little bit of crap, but then I see you literally just navigating through spaghetti.
Yeah.
to find your
Oh! I gotta show you spaghetti. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's the part that intimidates me.
Do you need an electrician degree to?
Well, I
did. The wiring.
I did 2 years of electronic engineering, so it probably helps. Yeah.
Are you a sadist?
I'm in the animation industry, so yes.
You have to hate yourself quite a bit.
So, and of course, that's just the main group. For example, you have the head rotation that's set here. It's plugged to the eyes, it's plugged to the skull, it's plugged to the ears, it's plugged to the manes. And of course, plugged into it is the neck. Oops. Sometimes it happens.
Whoops, sometimes their head falls out.
Yeah. So, for example, with the neck, so for the neck, you have this button here to get the controllers. And since this part is connected to that assembly, it actually get the head to follow around. And one of the cool things too is that since this piece is connected to the body, I can connect it to more than one thing. So it has this connected to this piece with the kinematic output. But you also have the different body for the profile version. So if you switch to this one, it sometimes you have to move it again, but it actually follows that movement. So you can actually have a proper transition between the two. So for example, if I want to have the head that turns, the head doesn't look good in all angles. For example, the mouth, if I actually have the mouth that opens, the mouth doesn't open properly. So then I have to have this little image switch here. And if I want, I can tell it 0. And then I have access to this kind of mouth that actually have some articulations.
Good.
It still looks very weird. For example, if the main, because the main trying to make it work in 3D is kind of a nightmare. So instead you have image switch, and you switch it to this one, for example. And it doesn't work too well for some angles, so you have to grab it here, press on the keyboard, this. There we go. And it doesn't even always look good, so you have to spin it properly. There we go. And just trying to pose it, just doing the animation afterwards is a nightmare too. The blinks are quite the blinks are quite interesting because they're also based on deformers. So if you want, you can actually follow and actually close the eyes. And of course I have a pre-made blink cycle that also kind of breaks.
Cycles are a godsend.
Yeah. For the mouth, for example, the mouth is also done with deformers, so you have this connected to this. And it's pretty cool because you can use kinematic outputs to also make the teeth move. So, it's definitely not perfect, but it works.
One of the problems I have with SFM is a lot of the mouth stuff that people set up, they all have limits. So it's like the mouth can only open this much or can only go out this much. And it frustrates me when sometimes it may not make sense to go to the extreme, but because with smear frames and that one frame or something happens, going well outside the boundaries of a limit are important. The newer models have gotten a lot better about that, where you can start. It does allow you to go more past your limit. You're never going to really get there, but every now and then you get an accent or something extreme that somebody has to do, and having that one frame that has that is a big thing. It's nice to be able to just say, yeah, I'm never going to do that. It's weird, but I can.
One of the cool things I really like with the fact that it's working in deformers. For example, I have a scene where you have the character just opening their mouth. Let's find a frame where she opens the mouth. And let's go with the sad face.
Oh.
And it feels, you're thinking like, let's open them out a bit more. Let's take those controllers. Actually scream. It doesn't feel good, right? And then you actually get those two controllers and actually make her scream. Just having that range really helps.
That's cool.
Apart from that, for example, if you want to actually have a really cool kind of scream for the mouth, you have control of the tongue, which you can just go ah.
Are you able to put the mouth over the chin so that it can, if you have like that, it manipulates the chin?
You can. Oh, actually, you can actually manipulate the chin with this.
Oh, okay.
It's not perfect, but one of the cool things is that you can just move it separately.
Oh, she put on some weight.
For example, also this part of the face, getting the outline to actually follow the rest of the body is a kind of a nightmare. I was thinking, how could I actually have it so, as intended, like you rotate it and it feels like the face actually follows it. And one of the things I realized is that you can have, it's pretty crazy, you have this piece here and this piece here. It's basically just two separate pieces, but what you have is that the outline piece is actually closer to the camera, but you can just tell it like with composite, you can just order it in 2D and have change the order. Like it should be a bit like this instead, but you just tell it like, no, I prefer this order instead. So for example, if you want the head that's further away from the camera but layered above everything else, you just use that composite node. It's definitely a chaos just trying to relayer things. For example, if you have a scene where you have, let me find a good example. So for example, if you want to have the mane that's above the eyes but behind the ear, what you do is that you have a cutter here. And if I get rid of it, it's going to be layered above the ear. It's just that you cut out the ear and you layer it differently. It saves my head. It helps me a lot. Just not go insane. Just trying to make it make sense. You have the ear layering, for example, with another controller, and the idea is that the image switch is actually backwards. It's with the image switch you only get multiple inputs and one output, and it always outputs at the same order of the layer. Until I realized like I could just have two switches and I just have composite to nothing. So if I want just nothing on that layer, it just plug to that composite. So that way I can actually change the layering of the ear. So for example, if I think that I swap the ear, I also managed to connect it with the flip. So if, for example, if I want it like that, or if I want to have back to that but without the ear because it's plugged to nothing, it actually works well. So for example, and one crazy thing too that I realized is that you can have where is it? You can have that flip that happens, and I realized like the main can just be flipped, and oh wait, that should be one. I can actually flip it with an override, and the override what it does is where is it? Basically, the override actually changes the two colors. So if you plug it back, am I plugging it properly? Yeah, let's. There we go. Just by doing an override with the colors. What else can I show? Do you have something else you wanted to show while I'm loading it?
Yeah, I can show.
Let's web it.
one
Oh,
thing.
Australia.
Yeah, there's one scene from there because SFM's biggest problem is it just has a lot of limitations and is trying to figure out how to work around those. And you start learning how 2D does stuff and how other people do stuff to try to show and fake certain aspects of things. Like one of the problems SFM has is it can't really do distance too much. You can't show something that's actually miles away. I mean, I'm guessing that even Toon Booms and others, you can't do that.
Toon Boom is terrible because it has a draw distance of 10,000 units at best, and sometimes it didn't want to work because you get lots of Z fighting with its 3D rendering capabilities.
Yeah, same thing.
So what I do instead, I just export a camera from Toon Boom and just render the whole thing in Blender.
No.
Just because Toon Boom is that bad. They also had a feature with Toon Boom the whole way that it was handling the 3D integration with Maya was the most batshit crazy thing I've ever seen. It would take the scene you had referred in your scene. Well, basically you have a Maya file, grabs it, copies it to your temp folder, changes the position of the camera and the object that it's referencing, opening Maya, it does a render, grabs the output file and puts it in your scene. Per frame, every single frame that you render, it opens Maya, copies the scene entirely, and if the scene is like a file that has 100 megabytes, it is gonna take the whole 100 megabytes just to make it work. And it does that per frame, and Maya takes at least 30 seconds just loading. So can you imagine the render time of those things? Eventually, like 2 months ago, they announced a new update where they finally fixed it. I do wonder if they listened to me when I pointed out how stupid it is, because the approach I had instead was to generate a JSON with all the camera coordinates, and then make a really weird one of those spaghetti node graphs that I had, just to be able to read those coordinates and convert them, like I talked about it at the missing out panel. For some reason, instead of just being a 1-to-1, maybe the X and Z, the Y and Z axis are flipped, because some software do that. No, for some reason, the Z axis would be multiplied by 2.666. One of the axes was reversed, and it would flip all the rotation axis. I never understood why 2.6666. They just... Maybe they were just evil.
Maybe.
Eh.
You have to sign a pact with the devil to animate well, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you do have to.
I sold for that.
You do have to sacrifice years of your life, so that does make
Exactly,
to
yeah.
their service.
It makes sense.
So like yeah, so SFM has ranges. Everything kind of does. So you're trying to figure out ways like how can I simulate that distance, but try to keep processing down and make it still look good. And so like I had this shot where I was having somebody fall through the sky, but I had to try to like have somebody falling at a high speed over this large landscape, but you couldn't actually use a large landscape. And so like I had them like doing this little fall scene, hitting them. I had to shut out the particles for wind because that was very, very purple. So, but to do that, he's not actually moving this whole shot. So if I separate the camera, he's actually just staying in place. And I'm utilizing, like, if you think about something that's far away, the biggest difference between it being close to you is size, right? So as he's falling, so if this camera's not moving, these dragons and stuff that are coming from below, they're actually just starting small and getting bigger. And so the ones that are below are doing the same thing. And because that's really no different. You're not going to be able to tell the difference, especially with everything moving around and stuff. And it gives the same effect. And it was from watching a lot of anime and stuff, like, how does 2D do it? Well, they can't move it closer. They're just making it bigger. And actually, just to save memory on this, we built this entire scene where we could see this whole city from above, and then we just rendered it out as an image, and then put a bump map on it.
Yeah.
And it then just had to kind of go up and around the corners to try to make it look like it was sprawling more.
Yeah.
And then at some of these edges, we just added mountains to kind of give it a little bit of a breakup. But when everything's moving around, it looks perfectly fine, except for if you go down here, you'll see like all these buildings. You see the one side of it, and then you keep going, and like, oh, they just like swap direction because it's just the same one over and over again. Oh, and a couple random buildings just thrown in here just to add a little bit of extra definition. There was another one. I bet you it's going to crash getting there though, because
We
Welcome,
gave a different meaning to flattening a city. That makes me think of Pilot Wing in the Super Nintendo, where it's actually a city, but was just pure flat.
I think it's this one. So this was based on the anime intro from Fate's Stay Night, one of the intros. And in one of those, they had this big sprawling city here, and showing how like they're showing the city in the distance. And I was looking at how they're doing it. I'm like, oh, it's just literally layers moving at different speeds from each other. So I did the same thing here. So this is what it looks like when they're actually like in the shot. But if I just separate the camera, this is me standing still. It's everything else is moving. The funny part is the only person not moving in this entire shot is them. The ground is moving underneath them. The camera is not moving. So it just worked. And so instead back here, instead of setting up hundreds of models to move at different speeds, I just made 3 groups. And then I just told them to all move at different speeds.
Yeah.
And it was amazing that saved me so much time and effort. And then I had this one move the other direction. And it looks good, but and then to give that little bit of extra depth, you just shine a light at some different areas with some sunbeams to kind of make it look like those areas are a little different. It also was, I don't know if this shot's done. This one's kind of broken, but trying to do this shot was really rough. I think I have the updated version of this one. I opened up the old version. Where's the rest of my files, SFM? This is all backup stuff, so I could delete something here and I'm not going to care.
Are you sure?
I used to have it where like Sync Toy was a program, and it would just when I turned on my laptop, it would just sync the two computers. And turn off particles. And I think I had a special light on this one, and that's what's causing the purple. So ignore the very fine purple mist that's hitting over everything. But in this one, I had the same bit where I had this like sky bit, but I couldn't. Detailed sky domes don't really exist. It's flat skies that you can have really nice detailed pictures, but you're spinning. So just while they're spinning, there's this like weird gap in the sky here that you can see as the camera's coming around. But once motion blur kicks in, and you can even see this in the final, you can't really tell it's there. It just kind of blends into the sky. But yeah, doing scale like this is not something SFM does really well. It's one of the reasons I don't like doing day shots. Night shots are great because you just like everything's obscured by distance and darkness.
It's also that they have a special mood to them.
Oh, like here for distance too, same thing. If you look in the background here, camera's standing still. You just make everything else move. If something's really far away, it's going to move less, so you just counter the movement with the camera. And now it looks farther away.
Oh, I guess I can show something similar actually.
Oh, this was one interesting one. You can't really do fisheye really well in SFM. You can, but it's not like a good fisheye. And this was supposed to be a fisheye shot, so just build it to be fisheye looking. So everything is just rotated. All the sky is rotating around in a circle, and then it actually looks like that nice fisheye look that you would get. Because really all it matters what the camera sees. It doesn't have to be what it really is. The blessing and the curse of animating is that only thing that will ever look correct is what you see, but then also that means that everything outside the camera doesn't matter. So I have a shot of like, I think it was little Pip's like legs moving up a stairs, and I have her head turn on backwards and like broken sideways. You can't see it. Who cares? And she literally slides across the ground until the first hoof comes in the shot, and then you can see it start moving. Don't overwork. If it's not going to be in the shot, don't worry about it.
For another example, so there's a So there's a shot I had. I needed to make the Crystal Empire for one specific shot. Basically, just Luna overlooking from a balcony. So I have the model in Blender. So there's the train station I stole from my Ponyville model.
You stole your own model?
I stole my own models.
Damn.
There's a couple of towers that are basically the most basic of geometry. Basically just added some subdivisions just to make it look a bit smoother. And there's some mountains in the back with some... and those mountains that I stole, there was a software where you basically just take a map of the Earth, and it basically just gives you topographical data from it. And it was basically told, like, go grab some mountains from Utah. It's going to be perfect. So then you go back to the angle, and it just works, and you have the nice triangle that I liked. And for the clouds that you see forming, let me show you the clip as the clouds form. And it turns out the clouds are the simplest idea. You have...
Well, simplest idea for...
You just have an amalgamation of cloud shapes, and you just kind of spin. It works!
Yeah, I do the same thing. All my clouds are the same cloud texture. You just move them at different speeds and at different slight rotations and everything, and you can do so much stuff. Most particle effects, you do like confetti shooting out. It's like the same just texture, just spun at different rates and kind of just different shapes and different changes, and you barely can tell that that's what's going on. So much less resources than actually having real particles going everywhere.
For example, the clouds I have, it's basically just like 15 models, and they basically just... I was just very bored one night. I decided, let's try to sculpt some clouds. I just took some spheres, just merged them together, just used some of the Blender brushes, and they kind of look like... Oh, that's my favorite ones.
Is that poop?
No, remember those donuts?
Oh, yes.
The
yes.
honey cruller. I was thinking, you know what? They look tasty. I was thinking if I saw a cloud in the sky that looked like a honey cruller, I'd be happy.
Did you just find that model somewhere, or did you make it?
I kind of just made it by taking a
You made
photo
it,
of
don't
one and I just projected it on top of it. I think you use Crazy Bump to get the height of it, and I just mapped it to a torus. And
Well,
just,
yeah.
it worked.
There's a challenge that somebody did in SFM once that it's actually, you don't have to take it truly to heart, but it was to think outside the box. And it was they took a picture of some food on a table and they said, try to replicate this any way you can with existing models. And it was like just a bunch of food, and they used like a long necked dinosaur and then changed all the textures on it to make it look like dripping syrup down the side of this thing. And it was the amount of times you can be like, oh, well, that model doesn't exist. Well, if you're adventurous and you like to troubleshoot, you can make something work that shouldn't, and just in the weirdest ways. And I love that part of it. The jank is so fun.
I remember,
Yes, if it's stupid, it works. It's not stupid.
I remember I needed to populate my model of Ponyville. I was thinking, like, there's a couple of barrels from this bit here. What if I just spread them around to make them look like trash bins? Just worked. At some point I just thought, like, I'm gonna flatten it and just use it as a base for a pot of flowers.
Trixie's name tag is actually a highway sign. And it just retextured it, shrunk it down. It's the same one. And it's just boom, boom, and I'm done. Like, I don't need to go and make a whole new model of just a square. It's the same thing.
I think we ran out of time. Do you have any special requests at the end before you kick us out for whatever's next?
I'm trying to think if there have any other jank. It's so fun. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But was there any other questions or anything people had? Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing. How long did it take you to get over the Toon Boom learning curve?
Not too long. I think part of it is just because New Kex had a couple of weird quirks that I had to learn first. Just the idea of going with nodes.
Yeah, that's what's stopping me. It's
That-
the node thing.
One of the things is mostly like, don't bother with Master Controller if you don't understand it. That's one of the reasons why I was really scared. Master Controller works for the people who understand it. I don't. It's pretty weird, crazy science that some people have figured out. Do a cartoonist figured it out, and I don't know how. I basically just, because the whole thing with my rig that it makes it very janky, I just assume it's basically just a set of pieces that are floating or connected, and if I'm not satisfied with how it is per shot, I can just rewire it. Like, for example, if I think, if I have a scene where I'm supposed to move the head, the neck, but I don't want the head to follow, I can just say, like, goodbye, and then the neck just does whatever.
No.
And
Horse neck.
And of course, for example, I do that a lot in shots for the character seen from the back. A lot of things are just going to be wrong. Just expecting I'm going to be rewiring it just happens. Sometimes it's going to steal pieces from other rigs that were already animated. For example, I had a run cycle from the front of Celestia. I was thinking, like, I'm just going to steal the legs from that rig, put it on a different rig, and just call it a day. And nobody complained, so...
So you can actually reorganize like the node graph on the fly, like it saves per keyframe.
It's not per keyframe, it's per scene. But one of the things I usually do is that, for example, those image switches, you can keyframe them. So, for example, if I realize that the head needs to be relayered, I can just put another image switch. And it's also pretty cool because, for example, if I realize that, try to think of a piece that I want to relayer. For example, I say this ear is going to be layered above everything else. I can just take this, instead of rewiring it, I can just wire it above itself. I can just go and put it, for example...
Yeah, you gotta make it look clean.
Oh, I'm not layering the right one. Whoops.
This is the order matter.
There we go. That's the other one. So you can just take this, and I can just plug it here. And it's technically layered above itself, but you don't notice because you don't see the one below. It might create some aliasing artifacts. Probably not, but it might. and people are not going to notice. After 10 years in the fandom, not a single comment I've got was about aliasing artifacts, so I'll be fine.
Wow.
Did you get the comments about aliasing artifacts in your videos?
No, it's just it bad or it good.
Yeah.
People don't go into detail.
More Applejack, please.
Yes, where's Spike? That was a big one.
Why did you leave for 3 months trying to make your thing?
Actually, my favorite comment is, "Oh, you're back." I never left.
Sometimes I get one that says, are you still alive? And sometimes I
Yes.
reply, yes, like 5 minutes after you reply, just as a jump scare. I love those
Okay.
things.
I know in terms of like how long it took to learn, I always think it's better to ask the question, how long did it take for you to feel comfortable enough in the software to do anything you want to do? Because usually you don't get an animation and be like, I want to animate. It's usually because I have some ideas and you want to like do these ideas. And there's a certain like I would call it like going over the mountain, where you've learned enough that you can basically do anything, or you are comfortable to figure out anything. So you understand I know I don't know all these things, but I know how to get that information and I know enough to learn it. And that's the comfortable spot, because you're always going to be learning. There's never like how long did it take you to learn everything? There's still things I've been learning in this. I learned how to do squash and stretch recently, and it made me super excited about things. And if somebody asked you yesterday, how long did it take you to learn everything? You're like, I'm still learning.
Like this thing, I just realized a couple of weeks ago I could actually put an image switch target gate, as the input for the target gate. So whenever the head would turn, the hair flip would also match with the ear flip. And it took me, I've been doing that since 2018 with Toon Boom. It took me until now to realize I could do that. My favorite part is also the outline for the head, because one of the things is that the outline follows everything else, but you want the outline to be consistent. And one of there's a matte resize option that exists. And it took me a long time to realize that if I wanted it, because the matte resize doesn't work in the viewport, and I wanted it to actually work in the viewport so I could actually see what I was doing. It took me a while to realize that I could just use, where is it? So is it the one? No, I mean not this one. So it took me a while to realize that I could just use those and apply peg transform, taking an output of a layer, and basically you apply some movement to that. And one of the things I did, let me relayer it again. Sorry. So the whole idea that I had was, okay, what if I take, and let's seriously. Am I layer? So basically one of the things I was thinking is, what if I just take this, move it to the right, to the left, up, down, front, back. So as you add those layers, it actually fills out everything to get all, actually, I need to go back to where it was. There we go. So for example, if I replug this one in the proper order, you actually get this side again. So if I unplug it, and yes, you actually lose this side. And before that, they use a matte resize that could actually not show in the viewport for some odd reason. So then you plug it back, and I don't know why I didn't think of doing that, because it's actually more effective to do it that way. So it doesn't work for stuff that's not supposed to be round. For example, if I had, let's draw a shape with, am I on the right layer? Yeah, not on the right
Where'd
layer.
the horse go?
I'm losing my mind. Doesn't work when I was there. Is it that one? Let's try again. So if you take a shape like this, and then you see the outline, and you see that the outline is just done by doing that kind of thing. So if you fill it with the color of that one, and and then you have a pointy edge. You can see how it's gonna break in those corners.
You know,
But it's round, so it's not gonna be an issue. And it's pretty cool too because since you have, since it's set to work in 3D space, it actually follows a couple of other pieces. So you spin it, and as you spin, the shape actually follows. So you have this piece here.
That chin. Oh, no, her nose.
You know when you're a kid and it goes, got your nose. That's what happens when you forget to give it back. So it's pretty crazy. We hope you enjoyed this crazy live event. Tonight there's the anthology panel and there's the community meetup at 8 p.m. So it's gonna be a blast, I think. I don't know if you want me to bring my laptop to if I can show you other stuff, but
And for anthology, there's going to potentially be some things that haven't been seen before. So if you want to see quite a bit of new stuff, be sure to check it out. You just have to stay up to the wee hour of 12:30. So I think it's in this room.
Yeah.
Really?
If it's
I know.
if it's
Yeah,
in this,
that's what I'm
there's gonna be a
saying.
lot of people.
I think it's in this room. So get early.
It's gonna get warm.
It's gonna get warm. Bring a fan and ice cubes and hugs.
This room.
unless you want to feel like sardines, get yourself a sardine soda.
This is a small